Hello everybody, Basilisk Fang here, and welcome back to NieR Replicant. We made it to the Forest of Myth, but we haven't had a chance to explore it yet because we had a big giant storytelling session last time, and I didn't get to actually look around for anything. We did, however, get a sealed verse. Speaking of which, I think I want to equip it. Let's see, Dark Blast I like to keep. Let's see, Dark Lance, we want to replace that with Dark Execution. I had a blast using that in essentially the tutorial, the intro scene, the prologue, whatever you want to call it. So let's equip that and see how that goes, because I don't use the lance very often. Dark Blast I use a lot, and I don't know if that's good, but I like it. I basically don't use my sword very much, because I just kill things with the Dark Blast. Let's see, there's something I can charge up. Charging, and skadoosh. That's awesome. Yeah, we're keeping that. I like that. That's a fun move. All right, so we need to do stuff. I think we're done with Mr. Mayor for now, but I know there's somebody standing over here who has a quest for us, so let's see what this is all about. They got nothing to say to me.
This person must be dreaming too.
Oh yeah, that's right. We saved the mayor from the death dream, but we haven't saved anybody else. Is that something we need to do?
It would appear that way, yes.
Enter this villager's dream? Oh no, are we gonna do more story time?
Can't say I'm very excited to go back there. That dream world sort of creeps me out.
It doesn't creep me out, it drags. Like, to be clear, I enjoy the story. It's just from a video production standpoint, there's not a whole lot of editing that can be done. It's just straight up reading and it takes forever.
Perhaps you should spend less time complaining and more time getting on with the mission.
Oh, I see. Takes one to know one, Grimoire. Takes one to know one.
Yeah.
I breathe air scented with death and resist the urge to laugh, for I know it will sound like the words of a madman. How long have I been in this fresh hell? My box, my prison, is tucked beneath a stairway in the long, unused catacombs of some infinite castle. Outside, I hear the sounds of a funeral dirge that plays without end. This sounds a lot like the factory music from NieR Automata. Is it the same music, or is it just the factory music from NieR Replicant? Light has no place here. Wind is a forgotten friend. I pray for death to come, but he forsakes me. Time passes. An eternity slips by in a single tick of the clock. Someone knocks on my prison. Anyone there? I hear an unfamiliar voice say. My savior. I claw at the door of my jail, embedded thick splinters under my ragged nails. I scream for help. I laugh. I sob. Surely this is a product of my addled mind. Surely it cannot be true. Help me, I cry. For the love of all the gods, help me! Impossibly, I hear the sound of a lock being torn out and falling to the floor. As the door slowly creaks open, I have just enough time to see a silver-haired boy and a floating book before the light pours inside. My eyes, accustomed to blackness, explode with pain, and I am forced to turn away. Who are you? I ask, shaking hands, covering my face. How have you come to this place? I am Grimoire Weiss. This is Basilisk. Long have we been searching for you. Now come, stand. We shall awaken from this nightmare together. The one known as Basilisk extends his hand and pulls me from the cell. Though my eyes are slow to adjust to freedom, my ears are keen as ever, and they recognize the staccato sounds of heavy rain. I never thought to hear that again, I whisper. Would that this were not such a terrible storm, said Grimoire Weiss. Look at your feet. I force my eyes open and see water pooling around my ankles and lapping at my shins. There's so much of it. Yes, and more comes each moment we delay. If we do not make good our escape, we shall all drown in this castle. We know you are weak, but you are our only hope to survive this place. Time, that long-forgotten friend, made itself known again. I nodded my head and swore to save my rescuers no matter the cost. The castle catacombs are a maze, twisting upon themselves like the endless entrails of a giant. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed north. I'm pressing the button, it's not doing anything. Did our game freeze? Do I need to move? Oh, it's a choice. I thought it was just the story. All right, I have one choice. Proceed north. Jeez, that was weird. At the end of the corridor, I find a row of 20 gorgeous canopied beds resting atop a carpet of velvet. All are covered in a thick layer of dust and cobwebs. Searching for the door to the next room, I come upon a shapeless mass of gray matter. It has been shoved against the side of the wall, and despite my fever, I think I see the outlines of a door just beyond. When I reach out a finger and touch a piece of the mass, it turns to dust and drifts away on the wind. Realization slowly dawns, and I fall to my knees and weep. Corpses. I face a mountain of charred and crumbling corpses. I look from it to the beds and back again until the horror dawns full upon me. Someone has piled these bodies into a tower and set them ablaze. Whether they are alive or dead, I do not know, and sanity will not permit me to consider the proposition further. I make a sound, whether scream or laughter I cannot be certain. Then my mind grants me merciful blackness, and I find myself opening the door and leaving that most terrible of rooms. I squint down the dim corridors. Oh boy, are we going east or south? We just went north, right? So if we go south, it means we go back. So I guess east? I squint down the dim corridors and proceed west or north. So if we keep going north and east, will we get to where we want to go? All right, so we'll go north. East or north? East or north? Should we just keep going north until we can't go anymore? Let's just keep going north. At the end of the path, the waters rise to my waist, exhausting me both physically and spiritually. I pray that this is the way out. Eventually, I can stand the sight of the waters no longer, and so turn my eyes upward. Imagine my surprise when I see a series of paintings hanging on the faded plaster wall. Each depicts a person in the prime of life, clad in clothing of the highest quality. The styles, however, are strange to me, leading me to believe that these people had lived long, long ago. One subject wears an outfit that particularly catches my eye. It is constructed of a thin, breezy cloth and decorated with a motif of flowers and birds, while encircling the figure's waist is a leather belt of the most perfect construction. It is a stunning costume even by modern standards. As I gaze at the portrait, I am struck by a desire to touch it with my own hands. Yet, as I extend a single finger to the painting, I am gripped by the most unpleasant feeling. Staring closely at the image, I see it bend and warp into the shape of another finger. Something behind the picture is pointing at me. Is it another prisoner? A fellow inmate trapped for eternity in this place? I cannot let it pass, and so I seize the portrait with both hands and throw it into the water. The wall is hollow behind the painting, and inside I can just make out a body. Whether or not this is a prisoner, there would be no rescue. The poor soul is long dead. Scraps of clothing lie on the floor around the bones. Only a small amount of the fabric has survived, but it features the same delicate designs that were depicted in the portrait. I've been admiring a row of corpses, blocked from view by portraits of each victim at their pinnacle. Enough! Shielding my eyes, I paddle forward through the water. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed south. I guess we ran out of a way that we could go. Alright, so we went north. So let's try east. It sounds like there might be either a way out or something interesting at the end of these. I'm not particularly interested in trying to find every single pathway, but if we find them, then we find them. So we went east. At the end of the path, I find myself in a great hall with only the sounds of rain for comfort. The waterlogged red carpet squishes beneath my feet as I approach the center of the room. Once there, I behold a beautiful dining table upon which rests china and silver of the finest construction, as well as the remains of a fantastic feast. It would all be rotted and gross, I'm sure. As my eyes continue to adjust, I see many chairs surrounding the table, each holding a dinner guest. Noticing movement, I approach the chair at the table's head, but as the truth of the matter dawns on me, I recoil in horror. The host of the feast is a corpse, and as are all the invited guests. An army of foul, wriggling insects have made their homes in their remains, and this is the movement I saw. This once splendid feast was nothing more than a requiem for the damned. I take a moment to steady my shaking hands, then slowly back away from the table. Desperate to lose sight of the abomination before me, my gaze lands on the chairs upon which the dead were seated. This is a mistake, for the chairs prove to be even more terrible than the feast itself. Each one is covered in a layer of spikes that run from the seat, up the back, and down the arms. This explains the color of the carpet beneath my feet. I can only pray that the unfortunate diners were dead when the meal began. For if not, it is a simple task to envision the agonized screams that must have sprung forth from their mouths. My mind grasps frantically at the possibility that these souls had committed some terrible crime for which this was punishment. Though in truth, I suspect they had committed no crime at all. There would be no tomorrow for these unfortunates. This was their last supper. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed westward. So we just came from the east, right? No, we just came from the west. So if we go west, we end up going back. So let's go north. Against all hope, we make it to the front door. Okay, we found it relatively quickly, I'm guessing. Break it down, someone cries, and so I give myself to the effort. In tandem with Basilisk and Grimoire Vice, I slam my body against the thick, sturdy door. On the third try, it gives way, and we find ourselves sprawled on the ground outside the castle. The storm is in retreat. The clouds above are still dark and foreboding, but to the west, I can see the thin shimmer of sunlight trying to break through. How can I thank you? I cry as tears join the rain on my cheeks. I would surely have died in there. Looking down, I suddenly notice that my dress is in tatters, and sheepishly try to cover my exposed skin. Your dress? Asked Vice. Then you are a woman, madam. I am. I proffer. I don't know that word. I proffer the two a smile. Is it like propose to offer or something like that? I suppose that comes as something of a surprise, seeing as how I exist only in the form of words. Oh. Right. Because we're stuck in the story. We can't like see each other. So until some feature is given in the story to suggest that this is a woman, we have no idea it's a woman. That's interesting. It's a fun storytelling tactic. I can see that the one known as Basilisk is disappointed that the torn dress will be given no further description, but he hides it well. With a nod and a shrug, the three of us set forth to our awakening. Is the hero being perverted? Not perverted, but he's definitely had his interest piqued. But behind us, an awakening of another kind is taking place. Black smoke fills the abandoned castle, providing the countless damned souls inside with their final shroud. After a moment, the castle's windows shatter with a mighty roar. A fresh breeze blows through the hallways and corridors, clearing the smoke away for good. As we watch in awe, uncountable black shadows slowly flicker to life, crossing to and fro in front of the broken windows. The castle's dead have awakened to their new life as shades. I think this is lending credence to my theory that the shades are essentially deceased people. Oh, hi, we can see you now.
You have anything to say about that?
Hopefully there will be no labyrinth next time.
Yeah, seriously, we wasted a lot of time trying to get through there.
I hear that.
Hi.
Thank you so much for saving me.
Oh, you're welcome.
I never want to have a dream like that again.
I wouldn't either. It would have been nice to have gotten some money for that, but you know. Ah, geez, it looks like we've got another villager we might need to save from a dream. I don't know, though. You're not, like, covered in a shroud or anything like that. Let me look around the village a little bit first, but hopefully that's the last villager we have to deal with. All right, we looked around the village. Okay, that was a dead end. All right, how you doing, buddy?
And another victim. This work certainly is trying.
Well, it's certainly time-consuming.
I figured a book like you would be into all this word stuff, Vice.
Even I have my exceptions. Now let's be off.
A colony of massive sculptures was visible in the distance, their tall forms scraping against the sky. Vice and Basilisk had never seen such a sight, and their eyes widened as they tried to take it in.
Those buildings must be huge if we can see them from this far away.
Hey, if I don't have to do the voice acting, I'm okay with that.
What do you think, Vice?
As Vice considered his answer, the sun beat down on them with renewed ferocity.
Perhaps they are some manner of mirage.
He said, "Under this heat, a mirage or two would hardly be an unexpected sight." I wish he would keep talking so I wouldn't have to read his lines. Basilisk nodded and wiped the sweat off his brow, leaving a trail of sand in its place. He thought he'd never been so thirsty. The ancient road on which they walked was black and cracked with age. Here and there, thin wisps of grass pushed up through the rocky surface, as if defying those who had laid this material down over their home. The heat reflecting from the road made Basilisk lightheaded. His feet hurting, he crouched down to rest. This music is definitely in NieR Automata, but it's Kaine's theme, so it's also in this game. I don't know how much longer I can do this. Is someone playing a joke on us, or what? The complaining had already begun. Vice tried not to let his eyes roll too much. A joke? he said. No joke. This road leads to the city of art. Perhaps the path itself is simply some manner of grand artistic work. You don't sound very sure of yourself there. Perhaps not, but thinking of it this way might make it easier for you to bear. Basilisk glanced at Vice's grinning face, shook his head, and resumed walking. As time passed, Basilisk's feet grew more painful, and his throat drier than he thought possible. He tried not to look further than the next step ahead, because the bright sunlight made him hesitant to trust his own senses. We're definitely getting closer, said Vice in an effort to cheer his companion. Yes, this much is certain. Encouraged, Basilisk lifted his gaze. Suddenly, he stopped walking, choosing instead to stand in the middle of the road with his mouth and eyes wide open, and his finger pointing in the distance. Water, he cried. It's water. Water? Asked Vice. Preposterous. I don't see any water. Over there, just ahead of us. Look, the sun is reflecting off of it. Without waiting for a response, Basilisk sprang to life and bounded toward the sight. What in the... There was no water. There was nothing but sand in every direction. Basilisk closed his eyes and sighed as Vice floated up behind him and chuckled softly. I believe this is known as a mirage, he said. Many a desert traveler have spoken of such things. Basilisk shook his head bewildered. Suddenly, he pointed off in the distance, his eyes wide once more. Wait, there it is. I just missed it. Look, it's right there. Basilisk sprinted off again, leaving Vice with no choice but to follow. After a few minutes of running, Basilisk came to a halt. I could have sworn it was right around here. Confused, he put his hands up to his eyes and rubbed them vigorously. As soon as he stopped, he noticed a blue, shimmering pool of clear water just over the next rise. With a shout, he bounded off in search of it. The chase continued for nearly an hour until an exasperated Vice finally floated up to Basilisk and struck him in the face with his cover. Enough, you blithering idiot! Stop this at once! There is no water here! Basilisk's face clouded. There isn't? There is not, and perhaps next time you will listen to me when I tell you as much. Vice paused for a moment, then continued speaking in a slightly kinder tone. However, I suppose this mad chase is not altogether wasted. It seems we have arrived in the city of art. Basilisk looked up. Stretched out before him was a row of impossibly tall sculptures. Their journey was at an end. They're huge, cried Basilisk, completely forgetting the heat and pain of the past few hours. I've never seen anything so big. Each sculpture was formed from roughly the same shape, a tall rectangle that stretched up toward the sky, but that is where the similarities ended. Most were covered with panes of glass that reflected light in 1,000 directions, while others seemed to be nothing but frames of steel. Some had tall spires on their tops, while others possessed triangular caps. What kind of city is this? Said Basilisk. Where are the people? Where are the houses? Perhaps the land is intended exclusively for artistic use. The debate continued as they made their way through the city. Miracles of artistry were everywhere. Great iron crates with wheels set silent on steel rails. Beautifully carved works with lights of red, amber, and green dangled over every street. As they moved away from the massive sculptures, they found a great array of smaller ones. Some were covered in glass or brick, but many were composed of materials they'd never before encountered. The sheer variety of colors and styles was staggering. Unable to find a theme or purpose to the abstract works around them, Basilisk and Vice eventually fell silent. On the outskirts of the city, they discovered 3 sculptures in the shape of humans. Basilisk uttered a sigh of relief as he approached them. Finally! I was getting tired of modern art. The 3 statues were indistinguishable except from a single word chiseled into their right arms. One read Alpha, one read Beta, and the final one read Gamma. As Basilisk moved to touch the nearest statue, a bird flew from the top of one of the sculptures. Alighting on the statue's shoulder, it emitted a brief, beautiful song that took the form of words. Only one form is real, the others are false. The real form will always speak the truth. The false ones will only speak lies. With that, the bird departed, As if on cue, the three statues shuddered to life, acquiring color and form as they began to breathe. "Hey, look at that," said Basilisk. "They're alive." The triplets bowed low before Basilisk. "Please," said Alpha, "you have to get me out of this nightmare. I am real." "Stop lying," said Beta. He turned to Basilisk and threw his hands in the air. "Alpha's a fake. You know, I'm the real one." "What a load of crap," said Gamma. "Beta is fake. Everyone knows I'm the only real one around here." Their respective pleas given, the three statues returned to their frozen state as silence once again enveloped the city. "When you consider all the statements, only one of them could be the real thing," said Vice. Basilisk furrowed his eyebrows and considered his answer. "Only one form is real, the others are false. The real form will always speak the truth, the false ones will only speak lies." Crap, I can't remember. Well, all right, no, I remember. So Alpha said he's the real one. Beta said Alpha is lying, and I'm the real one. And Gamma said Beta is lying, I'm the real one. All right, so I have to think about this. So we have one just straight up factual statement. Well, I shouldn't say factual. A very simple statement, which is, I am the real one. Alpha is the real one. Beta has a slightly more complex statement. On top of asserting that they're the real one, they also say that Alpha is lying. Gamma does a similar thing where they say that they're the real one, but Beta is lying. Now, if Beta is lying, then that means that Alpha is telling the truth, and Beta isn't the real one, which means Alpha is the real one, which means that Gamma is lying about being the real one, but that means that Beta is also telling the truth. So we have a contradiction. I don't know if you followed that logic, but basically, if Gamma is telling the truth, then Beta is simultaneously correct and incorrect, which is an impossibility. Therefore, Gamma cannot be telling the truth. Gamma is a liar. So we know Gamma's a liar, which means that Beta is telling the truth, and then Alpha is lying. So Beta is the real one. If I've logicked this out correctly, Beta should be the real one. The real one is Beta. Though Basilisk's voice betrayed a notable lack of confidence, he was relieved to see Vice was nodding at him. Okay, so I was right. I hope you followed that logic. I don't know if I can explain it any better, but basically if Gamma is telling the truth, then Beta is correct and incorrect, and that's a logical impossibility. Therefore, Gamma must be false, and if Gamma is false, then Beta must be true. And if Beta is true, then Alpha must be false. It's a like formal logic puzzle, and I was a philosophy major, so that's how I figured it out. But anyway, I'm wasting time trying to explain nonsense. Oh look, Vice is just gonna explain it. If Alpha was telling the truth, began Vice in the dry tones of a lecturer, Beta and Gamma would be fakes, but in that case, Gamma's claim that Beta is fake would be the truth, even though Gamma is a liar. Therefore, the theory crumbles. All right, he didn't explain it as well as I did, but the same, idea is there, where if you pick the wrong one, you'll reach an inconsistency eventually, so you have to pick one until you find that they're all consistent. Now, let us presume that Gamma spoke the truth, and that makes Alpha and Beta liars. In this situation, however, Beta is calling Alpha a liar, which would leave us with two statues telling the truth. Finally, let us assume that Beta is telling the truth. If so, Alpha and Gamma's lies would make sense. Therefore, Beta must be real. Yeah, so he went about it a little differently than I did, but he basically followed the same logic as me. As Vice finished his explanation, Alpha and Gamma crumbled soundlessly into dust while Beta sprang to life once more. "Congratulations, villager," said Vice in a cheerful voice. "The time to awaken has arrived." "Thank you for saving me," cried the villager. He dropped to his knees and bowed his head as low as it could go before an uncomfortable basilisk pulled him to his feet. "Why did you have a dream like this?" asked Vice. "Have you been in this city before?" The villager slowly looked around at the bizarre objects and sculptures that dotted the landscape, then shook his head. I don't think so. I mean, it's impossible, right? There's no way I could ever have been to a place like this. But at the same time, I feel like I've seen it before." "Déjà vu," muttered Basilisk, "just like the mayor." The vague sense of unease that struck Basilisk during the mayor's dream spread once more through his mind.
That was rough.
You're telling me.
I am positive I have seen that place before.
We've all been there. It was in the prologue.
Okay, that's enough. Don't need you getting all weird on me too. Okay, there. Now all the villagers can wake up, right?
Well, presumably they're all woken up.
Yes, if the mayor's assumption was correct. I think I have had enough wordplay to last a lifetime. Thank you very much.
I agree.
You're telling me. Anyway, let's go see the mayor.
All right. Well, here we are already 30 minutes into a video, and we haven't actually done much.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you so much.
Well, you're very welcome.
Here, I have something for you.
I hope it's money. Oh, Faith is the sword, like the final sword you get in NieR Automata or something like that. Where did we find Faith in NieR Automata? Anyway, Faith was like, that's what I had equipped to A2 when I finished my playthrough of NieR Automata was Faith. It can cut through like the bullets and absorb their power or something like that.
Wow, this looks valuable. I can really have it?
Of course. It's apparently a weapon of some renown, but we have little use for it.
Hey, if it's better than the weapon I currently have, I will gladly take it.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you again for everything.
Oh, I guess you're welcome. Thank you for the sword. Speaking of the sword, let's go check this thing out. Let's see. Faith is very light, and it's way better than what I have equipped. So, yeah, we're definitely going to equip that. We're going to equip Faith, and we need to equip words to it. Let's see. Weapons. There it is. Faith. Sweet. That's awesome. Oh, we got our katana. I love having a katana. For the sake of time, I should probably end this episode here, but I want to see what it costs to upgrade Faith, because Faith is way stronger than all the other weapons I've had so far, but it's just as light as the weapons I've had so far, so I want to see how much it costs to upgrade. Of course, now I'm afraid some story event's going to trigger as soon as I leave the village, but you know what? In for a penny, in for a pounding.
So how was the village?
Well, you know, creepy, but I got a cool sword.
Oh, it was truly magnificent. There are no words. Really.
Wow, Grimoire Vice has no words.
Neat.
Let's get back to Popla. She'll probably want to know what's going on in there.
All right, I am not going there. I am going to see what it costs to upgrade my weapon. Hello, boyos. How much is it going to cost to upgrade my sword? Ooh, Faith is the only one I can actually upgrade because I have a ton of broken antenna and a bunch of silver ore. Yes, let's do that. What do we go up to? We go to 30% magic power. It upgrades the weight, but I don't know if we necessarily care about that. And the attack power goes way up. Give me. Ah, yes. And I can afford level 3 because I have an elaborate machine and natural rubber. Let's see, we keep our lightness. We go up to 40% magic power, 240 attack power. Upgrade, yes. All right, level 4 requires more silver ore and titanium alloy, which I feel like I should be able to get from the factory. Everything here seems to require titanium alloy, but I don't know how to get it. So I'll have to figure that out. I'm wondering if I should equip the actual item drop rate word to the sword, because on the one hand, it doesn't help with my attack power, but maybe it would help with harvesting, you know, upgrade things. Don't listen to me, I'm not making any sense. What I was trying to say is that maybe I should be going for items instead of for paralyze, because if I want to upgrade my swords and stuff, I should probably have a lot of weapons to upgrade them with. But anyway, I am going to leave this episode here. We have a really awesome sword now. I'm happy about that because I've been a little underwhelmed by the sword stuff that we've been given so far. Especially, I mean, particularly because I don't know where to find a lot of the upgrade materials. Maybe if I knew how to upgrade them quickly, I wouldn't mind so much, but anyway, without going on too much longer, we are going to get back into this next week. We've done a lot of the side quests that I'm willing to do right now, so we'll probably do more of the story. We'll talk to Popla and see what she has to say. But you'll have to tune in next week to see that. So if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the channel. You get notifications every time a video is uploaded. Make sure you leave a like on this video if you liked it. And I will see you guys all next time. Bye-bye!